Welcome again to our coverage of the Loudoun Heights anniversary. We are, and by we I mean I'm Anne-Marie Paquette, and this is Travis Shaw. We're both with the Mosby Heritage Area Association. We are now at the Fairview Lutheran Cemetery in Bolivar, West Virginia, here to kind of recap the end of the skirmish on Loudoun Heights and who came out a little better, who came out a little worse. We do know that Mosby failed in his objective to rout Cole's cavalry once and for all. So Cole's cavalry will live to fight another day, but 8 of Mosby's men will not. 8 of Mosby's men were killed, 3 wounded, 1 captured. And among the killed were 2 of Mosby's most trusted officers. So his loss may be small in terms of number, but the command is really going to feel those losses. On the other side, Cole's cavalry also had several losses, but ultimately some gains as well.
Right. So in terms of numbers, Cole's cavalry will lose more than Mosby's command. They have about 14 wounded, although many of the wounded were just wounded slightly, and most returned to duty fairly soon, including, believe it or not, Captain Vernon, the man who was shot in the face during the fighting there. He will lose an eye, but he will return to his command just a few months later and will serve out the rest of the war with distinction. So about 14 or 15 wounded. 6 of Cole's men are captured. Most of them will perish in Andersonville before the war is over. And then 4 of Cole's men are killed outright. One of those who will die as a result of the fight at Loudoun Heights is the gentleman who's buried directly behind us here at Fairview Lutheran, and that is a young man named Reason Cross. Reason, like many of the men in Cole's cavalry, was a Virginian, not a Marylander. He was born and raised right here in Bolivar, what was then Virginia. His father was an armory worker in Harper's Ferry, and at a young age he had to go to work there to support his mother and his family.
Right, after his father had died, right?
Right, absolutely. He's only about 16 or 17 years old when the war begins, and he enlists in Cole's cavalry. He fights all the way up until Loudoun Heights. And during the fighting at Loudoun Heights, he's shot in the abdomen. The bullet pierces his bladder. And he is carried by his comrades across the bridge and into Bolivar. And he will linger for the next 3 days at his mother's home and will die in his mother's arms on January 13th. It's an incredibly tragic story. It's a story that, could be repeated thousands and thousands of times during the Civil War. The one big difference is that Reason had the good fortune, as it were, to at least die surrounded by his loved ones, die in the comfort of his own home, and die in his mother's arms. And he is actually buried right next to her here at Fairview Lutheran. So one of the more personal stories to come out of this fight at Loudoun Heights.
Many more fights will come in 1864, but for the next several weeks, things are pretty quiet for both Cole's cavalry and the Mosby Rangers. I hope you enjoyed this anniversary trip across Loudoun Heights, and please join us again when we follow up on the Instagrams later.
All right, thanks.